Hello, Neuse Little Podcast listeners. Allow me a moment to promote our new official Neuse Little Theater merchandise. This can be bought at any show we have, any show in the 50th season that you come see. You can go up to the merch table and ask the man or lady, and you can get your official NLT merch. Here's what we have. We have hats, toboggans, hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirts, and we even have big and tall sizes. Just ask the person and they'll set you right up. We also have blankets, pins, keychains, stickers, tumblers, frosted pint glass, coffee mug, aluminum water bottle, backpack, and tote bags, etc. We have it all. Be sure to check out our special anniversary merchandise, including our t-shirt featuring all the shows of our historic 50th season. Thank you, and thanks for listening. Hello, and welcome to Neuse Little Podcast. This is an audio presentation featuring the backstage antics and stories from your favorite log cabin located on the banks of the Neuse River in Smithfield, North Carolina. Please help us celebrate our 50th anniversary season by purchasing tickets on our website, neuselittletheater.org. Don't forget to like and subscribe on the various podcast platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Now please, enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to Neuse Little Podcast. We have a brand new episode for you after taking the month of October off. And we are going to talk about Arsenic and Old Lace by Joseph Kesseling, which is going to be playing in November at the Neuse Little Theater on the 15th, 16th, and 17th, and 22nd and 23rd. So that's the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The matinee is at 3 o'clock on a Sunday, and then the following Friday and Saturday on the 22nd and 23rd. I did want to mention that our friends down at Benson had a little mishap with their theater. Their roof caved in the municipal building down in Benson, and they suffered some water damage. Now, that means they're probably out of commission in that building for a little while. And they were in the middle of rehearsals for Disney's Freaky Friday, and somehow they managed to move everything to Harnett Regional Theater, which is about 10 minutes south of Benson in Dunn, North Carolina. And so they managed to move their whole set there and then put on the show with a truncated schedule and did one weekend. And they were kind enough to lend us some props for Arsenic and Old Lace, including the cop uniforms and the dummies and all the little accessories that the cops have, including the hats and the pistols. So we thank them for that. I went down to see their show the last day, and it was really good. I was going down there to support Benson Little Theater. I didn't think I would really like Freaky Friday all that much, but I actually enjoyed it a lot. The two leads, Emily Compton, and I'm sorry, I forgot the other lady's name, but she was fantastic. Both excellent jobs in their respective roles, and then when they switched roles, it was equally convincing. So, very well done job to Benson Little Theater on their recent production of Freaky Friday, and I hope you guys find a space in the meantime, and hopefully Benson will rebuild the building and fix up all the things that need to be fixed up. I heard the theater didn't get affected at all, and that it's just their backstage area, so that's good. And I hope that the town of Benson will fix that, and they'll be able to run up in about a year or two. So I hope that happens for our friends in Benson. Also, Mita, feel free to weigh in here, since I was very much kind of out of the loop on that whole show. Oz wrap up. I hear we made money.
We did. Made a little bit of money. We were just hoping, fingers crossed, that we would break even. But we did make a little bit. I think there might be a few outstanding receipts and things, so still coming in. But overall, we reached out to a lot of people. We had like 400 and some, both Friday night and Saturday night, where the audiences were over 400. Sunday we had I think we had 800 plus. And if you add all that together, even 2 weekend run, even if we added a show, we couldn't have fit near that many.
No.
Sunday we would have been completely sold out just trying to get everybody from Sunday in here. So, and I've heard nothing but good things. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of stress. Everybody that was involved is ready to be over it. But overall, it was a good run, and everybody seemed to have a good time. There was minimal drama, as far as I know, and everybody, the main set, the principal cast seemed to have a really good time and have it enjoy. And everybody loved Hannah, who played Dorothy.
Mm-hmm. She was excellent.
We went a little young with Dorothy. A lot of times Dorothy's about 16 when they usually do it, and Hannah's 10. And so she was. I've never seen anybody with the courage she had. Mm-hmm. I looking out on that audience, because it's 1,000 seats in that space. Looking out on that many people made my knees knock when I did the curtain speeches. Mm-hmm. I'm just very impressed with how. I mean, her voice never wavered. She was confident. She was strong. It was amazing.
Yeah. It was really interesting to watch her just kind of like, oh, this ain't a big deal. I'm like, no, honey, this is a huge deal. Any other Oz thoughts before we wrap it up? And then we'll see you again in 20 years when we do it again.
Right, when we do it again. Not that I can think of. I'm just glad everybody came out to see it and opened up our 50th anniversary with us. We had a ton of people in the show. I think, not counting Jitterbugs, because they were from Artistry in Motion dance studio, I think there were just at like 40 people in the cast. And that's, except for the last time we did Oz, this is like the biggest cast we've had. Because when we did it the first time in 1999, I think Ruth had like almost 80 people in her cast, and both Sean and I talked about it. I was like, that's too many. He said, oh, that's definitely too many. So, but we had that many people come and audition. So, but we just couldn't fit everybody on that stage. And it was a circus doing it with 40, just trying to keep everybody clothed and have a space for everybody. People don't realize how small the dressing rooms really are.
Well, good job to director Sean Braswell, choreographer Patsy Castellano, and all the cast and crew involved with Wizard of Oz for putting up some real magic on stage.
Yeah, I respect Sean a lot, because he had a lot of balls he had to juggle, because we went out to the college, so there was college stuff he had to handle, there was NLT stuff he had to handle, there was technical stuff he had to handle, and so there was a lot of pieces that had to be sort of sorted and kept organized for Wizard of Oz.
We'll get into the play in just a minute, but I also have some other dates for you to write down that are Neuse Little Theater related. So about a month after Arsenic and Old Lace, we also have Kathy's kids from Corinth Holders High School coming to Neuse Little Theater to do the Mousetrap on December 13th and 14th. So we're kind of leaving the setup for Arsenic and Old Lace, and it'll be altered slightly. So come down and see the kids do that. And then finally, on December 16th and 17th, right after that, is auditions for The Foreigner. Now, that'll get started in the new year, but they are doing auditions before the holidays on December 16th and 17th. Okay, let's introduce our guest. All right, so we had the director of Arsenic and Old Lace, Kathi Nixon. How are you?
I'm great.
And then we have one of the two members of the Folie à Deux. We have Patsy Castellano, and you're playing
Aunt Martha.
Martha. And then we have Nancy Gibbs, and she is playing Abby.
Correct.
So this is kind of like a male-heavy show. And yes, I am in the play also. I play the part of Teddy. Let's get into the show just a little bit. Now, Kathi, give me a basic rundown of the plot, if you can, because there's a lot going on.
Well, we have two ladies that are here tonight, Abby and Martha, and they are the Brewster sisters who have 3 sons. One of them, Teddy, lives with them, and then they have a son, Mortimer, who lives nearby, who becomes engaged to be married.
They're not sons, are they?
I meant nephews, sorry. Did I say sons? Sorry. You did. Nephews. And Mortimer is engaged to be married, and then they have another son who's been away for nephew who's been away for a while. I miss my son, and his name's Jonathan, and he actually comes back with his trusty doctor friend, Dr. Einstein, to visit and maybe kill other people. Mortimer gets engaged to be married, and everything's really great. And then he discovers a body in the window seat and asks his aunts about it. And it turns out, yes, that's one of our gentlemen that we poisoned to put them out of their misery, because lonely old men. We find out there are 12 others. Madness ensues. Mortimer tries to cover it up. Jonathan tries to take advantage and bury one of his corpses in the window seat. And then we have a lot of policemen that come in clueless and anyway end up committing Teddy because he thinks he's Teddy Roosevelt, and the sisters decide to go with him.
You see, I am in this show, although Teddy is very disconnected from the rest of the play. He's just doing his own thing.
Right.
And deciphering the plots and motivation of each characters in this show, it is kind of a challenge, you know. And there's lots of old references that no one's going to get.
No.
No one's going to know who fighting Joe Louis or
Bob Evans.
Bob Evans is. They're going to like, oh, you mean like the restaurant down the street?
Yeah.
How do you think this play has resonated so long? Why is it stuck in there so long as this classic?
I think it's the ladies. Everybody's just familiar with them and the plot. And even though it hasn't been redone, as far as I know, as a movie, but the movie classic, you know, kind of carries a lot of weight, too, with Cary Grant and Boris Karloff. And it's a classic. So.
I'll add a little bit of trivia to that. It hasn't been remade as a full-on movie that I know of, but they did do a TV version. And this is something, if you look in the script and look at the original cast list, you see that Jonathan is played by Boris Karloff.
Yep.
And it's so weird because they reference Boris Karloff in the play. So it's like, oh, this guy looks like Boris Karloff. And it actually is Boris Karloff, so it's kind of like a joke. That does not translate to 2024, but it is interesting if you do the research on it. And they did the movie. And almost everybody from the Broadway cast is in the movie, except for Boris Karloff, and Cary Grant plays Mortimer. He wasn't in the Broadway cast, but the only reason why Karloff isn't in the cast is because the producers of the Broadway show, for whatever reason, would not release him to go do the actual movie. I don't know why. But the reason why I bring up the remake thing is there was a TV remake which he did appear in as Jonathan. So he kind of got some redemption on that. So that's the story of Boris Karloff in Arsenic and Old Lace. All right, so let's get to the ladies. Ladies, me and David were talking, and we had like about 20 minutes before rehearsal started, and David plays Mr. Gibbs, and he was also in Wizard of Oz, and he's a doctor. And he's an interesting guy. We were talking about the different psychological, the different type of mental illnesses that the characters might have, and we decided that Abby and Martha are easily a folie à deux, which means a cult of two, which means you guys are together no matter what.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is kind of in the lexicon now because of that terrible Joker movie. But before that, it's a French term meaning you guys are devoted to each other. Talk about that.
Well, where you have one, you always are going to have the other, and we are very like-minded in our charity work. The fact that we are both as insane as the other, I don't know. It just
Abby is the stronger of the two. She's the one that's the leader, and Martha's more of the shadow, or the one that agrees all the time. But I think that our brains are almost interchangeable as far as what we're thinking.
Okay.
We finish each other's
Sentences.
sandwiches.
Why do y'all kill people? Why?
It's a charity. It's a charity. It's a mercy we provide for these lonely old men who have no family and nothing to live for.
Yes. It all happened when Mr. Midgley, who was a Baptist, came to rent a room because Mortimer had left home and his lovely room was going to waste when so many others needed it.
I did not bring my stickers, but God bless you.
We felt so sorry for him.
Yeah, get going.
Well, he had all his kith and kin were dead, and he was so sad and forlorn. But as he sat dead after his heart attack in that chair, looking so peaceful, we decided then and there that if we could bring that same peace to other sad, lonely old men, we would.
It was a mercy.
Yes.
Okay.
And we call it our charity.
All right.
I'm always amused how they are seriously not convinced, because it's not really convinced. They are solidly in the belief that they are doing this for these men's own good.
We're doing good work.
Yeah.
So what are the requirements?
No family.
That they need a room. They've come to us to rent a room.
But
they
how
have
do you
no
know
home.
they don't have family?
We ask them.
We do have some questions. Where they're from.
What church they go to.
Yes.
I mean, they sit them down for a meal and they have a conversation and get to know them and you know.
And we offer them our homemade elderberry wine.
Which is how you administer the arsenic.
That's correct.
Well, not just arsenic.
No.
See, Martha, she has a knack for mixing things.
Yes.
I mean,
for 1
if
gallon.
you ever tasted her piccalilli,
Because for 1 gallon of elderberry wine, I use a teaspoon of arsenic, half teaspoon of strychnine, and just a pinch of cyanide.
This
Should have quite a kick.
one of our gentlemen actually had time to say, "How delicious."
that was his last words.
Yeah.
Yeah. The glee on your face, Nancy, is hilarious. Okay, no, I love it that you guys are kind of in character. Keep going. Now, what about Mortimer? Where does he fit into all this?
Oh, Mortimer.
He's our beloved nephew, but we're embarrassed that he has to work in the theater for a living. because
Disreputable.
It is disreputable.
I just want to do as a brief side note. It's hilarious to me that in the play, the good guy is named Mortimer and the bad guy is named Jonathan. Anyway, continue. What about Mortimer? He has a lady friend.
He does, Lane, and we're so happy for her.
They've just become engaged. Just like scene 2 of Act 1.
And we should open a bottle of wine to celebrate.
Now, you don't just leave it laying around there. The special bottle, do you?
Yeah, I think we're pretty lax with it myself.
It almost gets poured a couple of times. Does get poured one time by accident.
Is that true?
Yes,
Yeah.
but it doesn't get.
I want to say
consumed.
I am in this play. I have attended rehearsals. But Teddy, I am backstage most of the time, so the actual action on the play, I really don't know. Because shifting back to you, Kathi, I can see it in your face. I saw it when I first saw you today. I'm like, oh, she's in the thick of it. She's got that director stare where it's just like, I'm in the middle of everything. Some things are going good, some things are not. And then, how are you feeling right now, sitting here doing the podcast?
I'm just tired, but no, I feel pretty good. I've got like a lot of fingers crossed about Monday, so we'll see.
Monday should be a very interesting rehearsal.
Yeah.
My fingers and toes are crossed.
We're just it's very word heavy. It is because I've done it. This is the 4th time I've directed it, and there are a lot of lines in the play, so it's a lot to do. But you got to do it. So.
I played Aunt Martha in 1985 at Triple S, and I can't remember any of the lines from 1985. So I've had to relearn them all, and I'm really struggling. It's a lot harder this time around than
Was it a high school? It was the high school production.
I was in school.
But you were Martha, not Abby?
No, I was Abby. Did I say Martha?
You did.
Maybe deep down I wanted to be Martha.
Maybe there is a gas leak in here. What did you put in my bottled water?
No. Why did I say so?
Well, a teaspoon of strychnine.
I knew it was Dasani, so I knew it wasn't going to taste good, but still. Anyways, so we're in the thick of it. I guess we can. All right. You said that you had some questions for Teddy.
Yes, Teddy.
Okay. All right. I'm going to try to do it in character like you guys did. Okay. So I got to get the voice right. What questions do you have for me?
Well, Teddy, are you happy living with Aunt Martha and Aunt Abby?
It is stupendous. I love my aunts indubitably. I always love to go down and partake of the biscuits, and always there's somebody interesting coming and going at the house, and sometimes they just step right through the door, and then you never see them again.
Tell us about your work in the cellar.
Ah, yes, Panama. It's been a lifelong ambition of mine to have a canal in the southern hemisphere. We have to dig a canal so we can have merchant ships go by, which will be good for Colombia, which will be good for the United States and will be awfully good for me. Next question.
How do you feel about the stairs backstage?
The bane of my existence. You see, old Teddy has is nearing the end of his term as president. Has packed on a couple of pounds, and he and doesn't want to fall into the
Basement?
freaking abyss that is the Neuse Little Theater basement. Because just one false step, it's like Pitfall up there. It's like a video game, and you're going to be canaling down. I love Stephen. Stephen, our master builder, constructed everything that you see in the White House, quote unquote. Daddy's going to need a railing. Because we're going to have to do this a couple times. No, yes. Yeah, it is a little precarious backstage for us large folk. But Stephen will fix it. I have every confidence that he will. Okay, that brings me to a good segue that I did have, Kathi. Why did you want to direct here, and why did you particularly want to direct this play?
Oh, well, just when I saw the choices for the 50th reunion. I mean, just because I've done it so many times. Plus, I didn't know if I would be allowed to direct. So I thought it might be a good chance for me because I think Stephen and Mita came to see Arsenic and Old Lace when I directed it at Clarence Holder's.
We did. We came and saw Grace was in it.
Grace Dawn Tremont was in it. And so I thought, well, maybe they remember because I thought I thought it went well. So, but why did I want to direct? I love directing. I really do. And I obviously I like being on the stage, but I just like, being back there and, kind of telling everybody what to do. And I thought it would be fun to do that because I think The Lion in Winter, I'm not anywhere near Nancy with my number of plays, but it was like my 10th or 11th or 12th play here, so I thought it might be fun.
How many have you done here? Do you keep count?
I don't.
All right. Do you have a ballpark? Is it over 30?
I have no idea because there were.
Wait, where'd it go? How many cannons do you have?
Oh God.
I think 8, and that's only because Otis just got them all out and had them on a shelf in our room. I walked in and I was like, no, we're not.
He thought it would be nice to put them up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
I'm putting one of mine in the cabinet on stage.
Okay.
Yeah, so look for that.
Yeah. I can't display. I have 2, and I can't display. One's perfectly fine, but the other one's really falling apart, and I can't it won't stay upright. So, but yeah, there's one.
4.
You have 4.
Just in case you'd like to know.
Hey, Patsy, I didn't see you there. I'm just kidding. No, you were my next question, Patsy.
Okay.
So you were really excited about this role. And you're really our kind of our little cheerleader backstage, and because you're always so positive and always so easygoing to work with. But there are a lot of lines. So how do you feel about stepping into this iconic role of Martha Brewster?
Well, this is my second time. This was the first play that I did when my husband and I moved here in 2002, and I think Arsenic and Old Lace was in 2003. I'm not sure because I can't remember what time of year it was. So it was either the fall of 2002 or it was the next year.
Here?
Here.
Okay.
Yes.
So we've done it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
We have done this show a total. This will be our 3rd time doing the show. We did it in '76, where we burned the auditorium down.
That is allegedly.
No, it was an electrical issue. It just happened we were doing the show. They did the first weekend at the old school auditorium, and it burned in the wee hours of the morning.
Oh, there were all kinds of rumors swirling about thespians.
This is the work of thespians.
And so they apparently it just burned the auditorium part, and so the wings and the dressing rooms were fine. So they snuck in under the legend has it they snuck in under the caution tape and stole all the props and costumes, and then they slapped together. So if you see pictures, they're with that brown 70s paneling board. That's the way they made the walls. And they just slapped together a set, and they did the second weekend at one of the schools like and put the show back on. So, you know, that's the show must go on mentality. And then I think we may have done it for the 30th, so it would be 2003, 2004, somewhere around there.
And that was the production you were in, Patsy. And who was the other sister?
The other sister was Joyce Fitzpatrick. So I didn't know anybody. I didn't know Joyce, but she was in it. I didn't know Sammy, but he was Jonathan. Didn't know Sean. He was Einstein. Didn't know Ruth. So it was just a shot in the dark to move down here and try out for that show. I just loved the show from the movie.
It is very much a play of its time that is kind of translated to now.
Lots of old references.
Yes, which I'm curious to see how it will play on stage. But there's also a lot of great moments of comedy. So talk about that, the comedy and like the timing of it all, because I think in the hands, it would be easy for this to be dry. You know what I mean? And old. So how do you keep it fresh and kind of like lively?
Well, once everybody is on stage with no book in their hand, it's going to be fabulous. There's a lot of just farce type things. There's a lot of door opens, door closes at the same time, and a lot of I'm almost drinking the wine, but then something happens and I don't drink it. There's a lot of looks, you know, that characters do with each other and finishing each other's sentences and looking out the window and then somebody catches them. So, I mean, a lot of them are physical things that can be funny if we can time it right.
It really hinges on Mortimer because he is the thing that everything pivots around. So everybody else is doing their own thing. It's his job to like air traffic control.
And, you know, there's probably my favorite scene. Mortimer has found the first body and he is frantic and chaotic and just all over asking Abby and Martha questions, you know, what happened? And Patsy has the best line because she just is so dry and she says, he died.
Yes.
And it's just, I mean, the opposite energy shift there, it's just, it drops. It's good.
It's because you're so earnest, Patsy.
Well,
you're like,
he died.
He died.
Well, I think that's what's funny about it is that you've got the sweet old ladies, but they're killing people, right? And then you've got, you know, Mortimer, who pretends to be all innocent and everything, but he's kind of a ladies' man, kind of a, you know, patting Elaine on the butt kind of thing. And then you've got, you know, Jonathan, who comes in, I've come to take care of you, and he's a murderer. So, you know, that's the funny part is, you know, what they're trying to pretend to be and what they really are, and then when it comes out, it can be funny.
So is there sweetness that just totally throws the police off any type of scent?
Yeah, because they're like 13 bodies. There's the kindest old women you've ever met. Don't you talk ugly about our friends.
And here's
the
some
Brewster
cookies
sisters.
that I just made for you.
Yes.
And how's your wife? Is she better?
Yeah.
So Mortimer, all right. Obviously, we've identified you guys' mental illness as a folly you do. Teddy's is easy. He's delusional. Teddy Brewster thinks he's Teddy Roosevelt. That's all, and he acts as Teddy Roosevelt in every aspect of his life. Mortimer, I thought was harder because he's kind of like, you know, you're a straight man, and the guy who's all the action is taking place around Mortimer. But then Mortimer does have a line. He had the great scene with you where he's found out that you guys are murderers and there's 12 bodies in the cellar, but then in his next scene he comes through the door and says, I had to review a play tonight. So it's kind of like he's a narcissist. So is it that he doesn't? Is that this whole he wants to protect his aunts, or just doesn't really matter to him? I think it matters. What do you think, Kathi?
Oh, I think it matters. I think he loves his aunts. So I mean, I think he's just thinking. Well, I do think he's thinking this is going to ruin my career because they're, you know, I mean, I'm a Brewster because he keeps talking about I'm a Brewster, and then when he finds out he's not, he's like, yes, you know, I'm not really a Brewster. Yeah. So
Spoiler.
Okay. He's not.
He's a bastard.
I'm a bastard.
Right.
He says every night, Tyler, we can roast Tyler. Every night he says that, he sounds like Jimmy Stewart in like one of his early movies.
Yes.
Like, I want to live again.
I'm a bastard.
I'm a bastard, see? Also, there's a hefty amount of it's kind of meta. there's a hefty amount of skewering theater.
Oh, yeah.
Every now and then there's like a tongue-in-cheek show, like, what could be more worse than reviewing a play?
Because I think Kesselring was a critic. And so I think he got a lot of, he made a lot of people mad. And so I think it's his, when he wrote it, it's kind of his thing. Yeah, I got you. Here's your theater critic kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, apparently Mortimer's only doing this for a living because there's a line that he used to do something with real estate that he knew a lot about, but now he has to be a theater critic in order to have a living.
Yeah, I definitely think it was just Kesselring.
Messing with kind of poking it back at them.
Yes.
They're kind of FU to the That's kind of clever actually, because there's so many pop culture beats of the time that is mentioned in the play, like General Miles fighting Bob Evans, Boris Karloff. It's interesting to me.
Patsy and I have our fans. They follow everything we do.
Really?
Yes.
Talk more about that. Like, what fans? You have groupies?
Otis Gibbs.
Is it Otis? Is it Otis? Is he your husband?
Maybe.
Chris
not Anna
Chris
Jane, though.
Castellano used to be my fan, but he has read the play with me enough now that he's no longer my fan.
He's gotten sick of it?
Yeah. He's tired of reading as Karloff and Laurie and Cary Grant.
Well,
he's a good mimic.
Rich
so
will be my fan, but he will listen to it, and then later on he'll say, you know what you should have said. I get a lot of that.
And Otis has helped me more with this show than usual. He hates reading lines with me. But we even rented the movie on Prime and watched it. I think he watched it 3 times. I only watched it once. But I think he really likes this show. So he's like, "Can I read lines with you?" And he does voices.
Well, I do want to say, because I did ask Rich to help me, which he's been great. So I'm calling him my assistant director, but he doesn't want the title, But he's really good with physical comedy, with just movement. He's really good at it. I mean, he was a college athlete, and he's just very good with everything physical and move. So he doesn't like to
Tell us
call
more
attention
about
to
that.
himself. But he'll sit there and just say to me, like when we get home, he'll just say, "I've got an idea for how this would work," and he's really good at it.
That's the podcast After Dark. You're looking for Nancy.
Oh, we want to hear all about Rich's moves.
Oh, he's got great moves.
Great.
Oh yeah.
confident man. No, I have noticed that Rich has stepped in and done a lot of the more of the fight choreography or quote unquote physical movement.
He's very good at it.
Yeah, he's very straightforward and to the point. Yeah. Let's talk about some of our supporting cast members. We got Keith Davis and Jorge Sepulveda as Brophy and Klein, kind of like a little partner duo that comes in and totally. They're kind of sweet. They don't have any problem buying into Teddy's delusion at all. Or they're totally, what's the word? Just affable. Just kind of accepts anything that comes to them. And then we have Sean is playing O'Hara, and he's a playwright, but he's also a cop. And he kind of comes in and is totally concerned about telling who about his play?
Yeah, Mortimer, because he says, you can't be, are you the playwright? Oh my God, I got a story to sell you. Yeah.
Interesting.
So you need to send that clip to Sean. So
I'm working on it. I keep calling him going, come on, just talk like this. It's no big thing.
His accent is all over the place.
It's crazy. He was trying it last night, actually, and I heard it. And yeah.
Wednesday night, it was like, I'll say. It was like, are you like the big chicken?
Foghorn Leghorn?
Yes. Oh, I told Dr. Harper the other night. I was like, Dr. Harper, I don't know what your real name is. Tim. Russell. He's lovely.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is great. Tim has been in a couple of. He was in Trip to Bountiful.
In our town.
Yes.
He was my husband. Yeah.
His very first show was Death of a Salesman.
Yes, where he played the waiter.
And his wife came every single night to see the show, and Steven goes, "Why are you here every night?" She goes, "I'm here to see Stanley," which is his character in Death of a Salesman.
That's very sweet.
She's very sweet, yeah.
Yeah. And just for the record, we have Elaine, and her name is Kaylee Sirislawski. Sorry, I had to look up your last name, Kaylee. But yes, we have Tyler Pinkowski playing Mortimer and Kaylee Sieroslawski playing Elaine, and they're kind of a couple. They've just gotten to engage. It's the most casual engagement you've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's really not a big deal. It doesn't register on the radar at all for Mortimer. But what is the function of their relationship in the play? Is it to add just a little bit of a love story? What kind of function does it serve?
Yeah, I guess a little bit of a love story and a little bit for a reason for Mortimer to come back to
Yes.
Earth, you know, and a reason for him to make sure he hides what's happening from her because she's, you know, that's a lot.
She
of
represents the real world.
Yeah, she's a lot of the, oh, Elaine, you got to go, you know, when he starts thinking about the dead bodies.
And he assumes that he's a Brewster. He thinks he's a Brewster, so he assumes insanity is going to run in him eventually, and he doesn't want to subject Elaine to that.
Right. So it's basically a house full of crazy people and a bunch of enablers. And then Mortimer, who is like maybe Mortimer and Elaine, who are maybe the only two sane people on the planet. And then out of nowhere, Jonathan just comes and has this whole type of nefarious thing of getting rid of you two and wants to take over the house for himself. Why is it so important that the house? You know?
Grandfather's laboratory.
Yeah, the grandfather Brewster built this house, and he had worked on patent medicine, so he had a laboratory. He was very helpful to the police on poison cases, so they kind of ignored a lot of his antics.
Mistakes.
Oh, wow.
There's
So he was a murderer too?
Well, there's a
He
line.
tried some of his medicines out on people.
Yes,
yeah.
and there's a line that, you know, there were always a couple cadavers around. when
Believe
they
it
were
or not, this is a
growing up.
family play. I love it. It's kind of like the part we see is like the facade, and everything underneath is kind of horrific. If you know.
it is. That's what's funny about it, I think. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I think that's a good note to go out on. Now, as we said before, the show's going to go up November
15th.
15th, 16th, and 17th, and then it will be the following weekend on the 22nd and 23rd. And also be sure, if you're coming to the Sunday matinee, to get those tickets now. That Sunday matinee always sells out.
I was going to say we've probably got 15 left over maybe right now for Sunday. There's still, I think it's like, there's low numbers on the rest of them, although I think one of them does have like 40 one night, but Sunday is like, and we're still, you know, a couple weeks out, but Sunday's like 80 at least, if not 85.
Excellent. All right. And anything to say, Nancy, before we close it out here on the NLT Podcast?
I'm just glad to be playing with some friends and
Oh, yeah.
working with Kathi for the first time.
It's the first time we've shared dialogue on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've directed
You've
you in a play.
directed me,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I don't think we've been in a play before that. So I think this is the first play we're actually in together. So I'm honored to share dialogue with you and Patsy.
Thank you. We did that Christmas show together, the radio Christmas show.
Yes, 1940s Christmas Carol.
Right.
It is. I'm nervous about. Even though I mean I do it every year. I do it for a living. But it's that's one thing that's makes me nervous. Is every time I look up, there's somebody else as director. You know, and I'm not used to that. I'm used to being the boss and I'm the only one, and I do it what I say goes kind of thing. But when when I'm telling people what to do, and I'm telling people that have directed more shows here than I have, it's a little odd.
You're doing great.
No, you're doing a fantastic job, and I would say you're just gonna. Yeah, every single person in this room right now has directed a show at NLT, and I just think we're really good about handing over the reins. And it's got to be your thing, and I think you're doing an outstanding job. And
Yeah, I told her maybe some of those skills she does with her students, being basically, no, this is how it needs to work, would translate better, because we're used to like dealing with adults, and it's like, can you just do it the way I want you to do it?
Yeah.
It's like, nope, this is how I was like, if you put your foot down, I don't know if that really worked or not.
no, I think those skills translate better than you initially thought, and I think you should go with your first instinct.
I know Kathi was nervous about doing her first show here, but I mean, she's very accomplished, and she's been a great director, has a lot of good notes and a lot of comments that she just wants to make you look better.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
True.
And I'm really looking forward to this these next 2 weeks. It will be tiring because we're going 4 nights next week, and then this tech week after that. But I'm looking forward to it because I can feel Teddy start to really come together with the movements and stuff, and that's because the script's out of my hands and it's a little bit easier, and you really drive that message home.
Well, and this is when the fun stuff starts, is when you guys can
well,
put the book
that's why I
away.
wanted to do it, to answer the question. My favorite part is being able just to watch it, not having to look at the script to say, wait a minute, where did I tell you to go again? Because you're not there. To just know that you're walking to where I wanted you to walk, and the lines. So now I can do little things to make it funnier and
refine it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm really, really, really hoping I get to do this week and next week.
It's like time to act and stop reading.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned that before, where it's just like in the beginning, you're never there are some actors that the second they get the script, they're going to be 100% like their character's already fully formed. But with you, it's much more of a developmental process. Yeah. No, it's going to be interesting to see how these next 2 weeks kind of form, because there's just a lot of moving parts. 3 separate storylines, costumes, and we got my friend DH coming in on Wednesday. He's going to shoot a trailer. Wednesday the 13th of Tech Week, he's going to shoot a trailer for us, and so it's all coming together, and it's going to be an excellent show for our 50th season here at NLT. Our next show is going to be The Foreigner by Larry Shue. I mentioned the audition dates. That's going to be directed by Tony Pender. I'm going to tell you about those audition dates one more time. They are going to be December 16th and 17th. That's a Monday and a Tuesday. At 7. And rehearsals for that will start in the new year. All right. Anything else to say, ladies, before we wrap it up here?
Yes, if you're going to be a playwright and you're a man, please give women enough time in the script to change clothes. Goodness sakes, we've got 3.5 pages to get into the full morning dress, Victorian morning clothes, MOURNING, that kind of dress.
That was previously dyed from your wedding dress, right?
Maybe, probably.
And don't forget to come and see The Mousetrap.
Yes.
That my students are doing.
December 13th and 14th here at NLT.
They're very excited.
Yeah.
They were here today painting, and they're excited about being here.
And you can get that's just like come up to the door.
You can
and
just
buy
come up to
tickets.
the door, and get tickets, and donations only. But it's gonna be great.
Sounds good. I love Mousetrap. It's my favorite Agatha Christie play. I wanted to play Paraffincini for the longest time.
That was my first one that I did here.
Oh, really? Yeah, Mousetrap?
And the first play I ever did as anybody.
See, it's all coming full circle.
Yeah.
Ken Mitchell directed that?
Ken directed the one I was in here. Yeah. And then Bobby did the one when I was in high school. Bobby Cox.
Yep.
All right. So, we're going to leave it there, folks. For Neuse Little Theater, I am Matt Gore. That's my producer, Mita Toole.
What's up?
And we will talk to you later. Please buy tickets for Arsenic and Old Lace. All right. Bye-bye.